grouper aquaculture. Epinephelus lanceolus, the giant Queensland grouper, commonly called the giant grouper, is the largest of all groupers and is therefore also called king grouper. According to FAO information, record has been made of one caught in Australian waters weighing 288 kilograms. The meat of the giant grouper is very tasty and costly. Presently, its main production area is Southeast Asia, but sometimes it also is caught in Australian waters and it is spotted in the sea near Taiwan as well. However, its population level is extremely low and overfishing has further reduced its numbers in recent years, up to the point that supplies no longer meet demand. The world's first giant grouper fingerlings hatchery technology was developed in 1995 as a result of cooperation between the Longdian Trading Company in Fanglao-Sang, Pingtung County, and the Taitung branch of the Taiwan Fisheries Research Institute. And in 1997, they established the technology for commercial production. The successful production of this grouper species has given Taiwan's aquaculture business a boost and might also influence Taiwan's present grouper farmers, mainly because this fish matures quickly, is very expensive, 400 to 600 NT dollars, 600 a gram, and its major markets are abroad: Japan, Hong Kong, China, South Korea, and other Southeast Asian countries. They say this fish is considered a kind of tonic in Japan, and especially sumo wrestlers and boxers there, have to eat this fish 1 week before a contest, as it is said to increase strength and endurance. If you want to know whether it really has such astonishing results, you can try it yourself. In 1999, Taiwan produced a total of 150,000 giant grouper fingerlings worth 3.75 million NT dollars, and around 6,000 adult fish were raised at a worth of 2.1 million NT dollars. Ecology. The giant grouper is a warm water fish species that is widely distributed in the Indo-Pacific from the Red Sea to the Gulf of Angola in Africa, to the west to Hawaii in the east, southern Japan in the north, and eastern Australia in the south, but it has never appeared in the Persian Gulf. Adults and juveniles all appear at brackish water river estuaries, and after maturation they often dwell in coral reef caves near sunken ships or in freshwater lagoons or coastal reefs at a depth of 100 meters during the day, coming out to feed during the night. Their main prey are crustaceans, especially lobsters and mud crab, fish, small green turtles, and even small sharks, which they gobble down in one bite, and the adults usually have Cichliaria, fish meat toxin, in their body. The giant grouper is a euryhaline coral fish that can survive in a salinity of 11 to 41 ppt and water temperatures ranging from 22 to 28 degrees Celsius. When salinity drops to 5 ppt, the fish will die, and when the water temperature drops to below 15 degrees Celsius, it will stop feeding and swimming. The fish matures very rapidly. It can reach a total weight of 1.5 to 3 kilograms in its first year, 3 to 6 kilograms in the second, is very resistant to disease, and its meat is very tasty. However, this grouper is very aggressive and guards permanent and defines territories, so they must be reared in separate ponds according to their size to avoid cannibalism. Cultivation of broodstock. The giant grouper is a protogynous hermaphrodite, as fish that is female during the early stages of its life cycle and becomes male during the later phase, which is the reason why there are little male seedlings available. By administering hormones, it is now possible to artificially induce spawning with a hatching rate of about 60 to 70%. Rearing of the 1 to 2 centimeter white body fry, commonly called ben sing a, until they reach 5 centimeter of total length, are very similar to the Malabar groupers. The size of the broodstock pond is usually approximately 0.2 hectare, and the water is kept 1.5 meters deep or even deeper. The fish are reared in seawater that is kept flowing 24 hours a day, and by 2 to 3 paddle wheels aerators. Under normal circumstances, they are fed once in 3 days with a variety of fresh fish, sardines, scad, etc. And when they are fed squid, a supplementary diet containing eel feel meat, multivitamins, fish oil, vitamin C and E, shrimp shells, and other trace elements is administered as well. The groupers are fed approximately 3 to 4% of their body weight in the summer. feeding is conducted around 4 in the afternoon, in the winter around 9 in the morning. The breeding fish will vie for the feed, so it must be spread as much as possible to avoid them from bumping into each other and sustaining injuries. Artificial induced spawning of broodstock. In Taiwan, groupers spawn from May until November, and mostly they are around the 1st and 15th of each Chinese calendar month, full moon. Outside the spawning season, it is harder than any other grouper species to distinguish male and female seedlings, but in general, Malabar grouper females are very similar to the giant groupers. The sexual organ of the female giant grouper is enlarged, smooth, protruding, and appears more rounded. It has 3 openings, of which the top one is the anus, the middle one is the gonopore, which is the dark red and protruded, and the bottom one is the mammalia. During the spawning season, the more mature fish are selected and given hormone injection. The dose is determined by the size of the fish, mixed in a physiological saline solution and injected subcutaneous in the back, with the males only requiring 1/3 of the dose females are injected with. Natural spawning and fertilization. 48 hours after the seedlings have been injected with hormones to promote sexual maturation, they will spawn naturally. The male will chase the female, and then they will both lift their heads and upper part of their bodies out of the water and eject their spawn and milt for external fertilization. In general, spawning lasts very long, from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. the following day, and under normally induced spawning conditions, a spawning run can take up to 3 days, with most of the eggs being spawned on the first day and the amount of them diminishing quickly. The fertilized eggs are round, separated, floating, and transparent, and in the water temperatures of 28 to 30 degrees Celsius, they hatch in approximately 20 hours. Hatching time is greatly influenced by the water temperature. The higher the temperature, the shorter the hatching period. At a salinity lower than 15 ppt, the fertilized eggs hatching rate are 0, but at salinity of 30 ppt, it is most optimal at 90%, and after 3 days, the survival rate is 84%. The survival rate on the first day after hatching at salinity of 35 ppt is 65%. Seed rearing. After hatching, the larvae are long and thin, but they cannot swim yet and float along the water flow. The mouths of the larval groupers open 24 hours after hatching, and after 72 hours, the yolk sac has been completely absorbed, and they can feed small amounts of multiple vitamins and shrimp flakes. After 3 days, at a water temperature of 28 to 29 degrees Celsius, feeding can be started. The larvae of the giant grouper mostly gather on the upper layer of the pond and like to look for food along the sides of the pond. Their diet must be adapted along with their development situation and can be divided into the following stages. Stage 1. The first 2 to 3 days, the larvae start opening their mouth to feed. They are called guleo, commonly called ya hawa. They must be fed oyster embryos, small rotifers, and shrimp cakes, with small amounts of green water is added to purify the water, absorb ammonia, nitrogen, and to serve as feed for the oyster embryos and the small rotifers. Then about 10 ppm of photobacteria can be added to stabilize the water quality, so that organisms and fry corpses at the bottom of the pond can be seen clearly. Stage 2. From the end of Gu stage until day 20, the larvae have prolonged dorsal and abdominal fin spines. They must fly like kites and are commonly called fa shi ha. The third day of the second stage is called Su Deo, the day that the fry are removed from the Bao Deo graded larval net into the rearing pond. This is best done between 3 and 4 in the morning to give the fish a chance to adapt to the color and quality of the water in the large pond more easily in the dark. First, a small underwater pump is used to pump water from the rearing pond in the Bao Do so that the water temperature and quality in the Bao Do resembles that of the rearing pond, and the fry can adapt to the water quality conditions of the rearing pond. After the fry have left the Bao Do, they will spread to all sides of the pond, and at this time, Air shones must be placed on all sides to supply oxygen. During this stage, their diet mainly consists of rotifers. Between the 5th and 7th day, the dorsal and pectoral fins develop long spines, and the fins themselves also continue to grow. This is the grouper's most distinct feature, making it appear very similar to a flying fish. It is very important to control water quality at this stage to keep it stable and the color light green. Water flow and paddle wheels are not necessary at this time, and when transparency gets lower, seawater and algal water from other ponds can be added. At the end of this stage, the larvae can be fed small copepods, small brine shrimp, artemia, and artificial feed. Reabsorption of the spines and the abdominal fins is complete after approximately 15 days, those of the dorsal fins after 20 days. Stage 3. The Shou-Xia and the redhead stage, 3-inch fingerlings. After 20 days, the larvae have grown to a total length of 5 to 6 centimeters. The spines of the dorsal and pectoral fins have gradually shortened and completely disappeared, which implicates that they have completed the stage of metamorphosis and have entered into the bottom-dwelling juvenile stage. During this period, they are mainly fed live feed consisting of cephalopods or young brine shrimp. After 25 days, they reach a total length of 8 centimeters, and after their stripe marks have appeared, they can be harvested and sold. During this stage, special care must be given to the graded of the larvae to avoid cannibalism. In general, a selection should be made about once every 2 weeks, but when temperatures are a little lower, they start to slow and selection can take place once every 20 to 30 days. A galvanized iron sieving net is used to separate the fingerlings into 3 sizes, large, medium, and small. The larger fingerlings can be put in a grow-out pond and started to rear or sell. The medium and small fry are reared further. In addition, a sick fish must be scooped up and examined as soon as it is detected so that its disease can be identified and the right medicine can be administered. Culture methods. In Taiwan, giant grouper culture methods are similar to those of other groupers, which means that the fry are nurtured until they reach a total length of 5 to 10 centimeters and then are put into grow-out ponds for rearing. To avoid that the fry fish die from muscle cramps due to excessive changes in water temperature, they must be put in the out ponds during the fine weather, in the early morning or at dusk. Most of the grow-out facility operators opt for rearing giant grouper in ponds with concrete or stone sides in 2 to 3 meter deep water, because deep water is less prone to large variations of water temperature, which increases the giant grouper's survival rate. Furthermore, grading must be carried out at set times during rearing. To reduce unnecessary losses, the fish should be raised in separate ponds to prevent cannibalism and the stronger fish from overeating the weaker fish from going hungry. Because giant groupers develop very rapidly, stocking density should not be too high. With 10,000 fish per hectare, special attention must be paid to their feeding behavior. Presently, they are fed fish or trash fish mashed and mixed with eel feed. The diet's food conversion rate should be somewhere between 2.5 to 1 and 2 to 1. According to the records of the Lion Don farm, the giant grouper can now grow to a weight of 1.2 to 3 kilograms during its first year and 7 to 10 kilograms during its second year. When the fish does not get infected with bacteria and virus and is bred together with grass shrimp, its survival rate can reach 80%. Moreover, special care must be given to water quality management, and except for the necessary paddle wheel aerator, there should also be a generator to supply power in case of power outages. In general, management before and after the fish is put into the ponds for breeding involves: number 1, cleaning and sun-drying the ponds, improving the condition of the bottom and repairing the sides. Number 2, sterilization. Usually the bottom of the pond is flooded with water and then steeped in 30 kilograms of lime or 3 to 5 ppm of bleach water per 0.1 hectare for 2 to 3 days, after which the pond must be drained and dried in the sun again for 2 to 5 days. Then the pond is refilled with 10 to 20 centimeters of water, to which 6 to 12 kilograms of tea seed cake per 0.1 hectare is added to clear the pond of other fish and shrimp. Number 3, water inflow and fertile water. Through water inflow, the pond is filled with water in a short period of time, but if water transparency is too high, green water can be added. Number 4, Feeding and feed training. The fish should be fed at fixed spots so they are more shy, and hiding fish can also get a chance to eat. At present, the groupers are fed sardines, squid, or a mixture of minced trash fish and eel supplement. Fish with total length of less than 18 centimeters are fed twice a day. In winter, lower 9 a.m. and after dusk. Number 5. Daily management includes regular testing of the water quality to ensure the right levels of dissolved oxygen, salinity, water temperature, pH level, etc. As soon as it is discovered that there are large amounts of residue or grouper feces on the bottom of the pond, the seawater have to be changed by letting fresh water in and old water out at the same time. Except in very special situations, changing large amounts of water must be avoided. Transportation and delivery of live fish. Number 1. Transportation of live fish. Giant groupers are sold as live fish and distributed through live fish compartment transportations. The required equipment includes aerators for fish stocking, live fish compartments, and push carts and trucks, etc. In general, when transportation of fry will take 5 to 12 hours or more, the following equipment is required. Plastic bags, 72 by 118 centimeters, styrofoam box, 60 by 45 by 30 centimeters, polystyrene plates of 0.5 inches, and ice bags, as well as a car, boat, or plane. The various transportation and delivery steps are: Number 1. First, all the material are sterilized or exposed to sunlight to avoid any contamination. Number 2. Harvesting should take place during the night or very early morning. Water temperatures must not exceed 30 to 30 degrees Celsius. Number 3. The fish are placed in a pond or tank with an aerator. Water temperature is kept above 18 to 20 degrees centigrade. Number 4. The fish must stop feeding at least 24 hours prior to transportation so that they will not spit out any undigested food and have excreted all their feces and urine and will not pollute the water during transportation. Number 5. The fish must be graded, those with the same size put together in boxes or containers, to diminish the chances of injury. Number 6. Clean seawater is prepared, to which 5 ppm of malachite green or furazolidoin and pure oxygen is added. Due to crowded conditions of the live fish and small amount of water in the containers, oxygen deficiency will very naturally appear during transportation. After being frightened during packaging, the fish activity level will increase and oxygen consumption will increase accordingly. If this problem is not solved timely, the fish will easily die from suffocation. Items to pay attention to during live fish transportation and ways of oxygenation during transport are as follows. Number 1. Special care must be taken when live fish are packed and transported during the spring, because during this period the body temperature of the fish will change along with wetter temperatures, and because the fish move more quickly, they easily get hurt from bumping into each other. Number 2. Brood stock that have just spawned are rather weak and should not be transported over long distances. Number 3. In hot summer weather, it is not suitable for long-distance transportation of live fish. Because the water temperature is high, some ice may be placed on the net covering the car so that the melting ice drips into the water and gradually lowers the temperature. However, the ice should not be put directly in the water because drastic water temperature changes put too much stress on the fish. Number 2. Packaging of live fish. By packaging the live fish is meant the vessels used during the live fish transportation. Normally, plastic containers can be used for surface or air transport of live fish, and in some places the live fish are placed in a special live fish transportation car, requiring no further packaging. In the case of live fish holding tanks, the fish are directly placed in the tanks and transported by sea. Whether using transport vessels or the specialized car or boats, attention must be paid to: Number 1. The interior walls of the live fish transport vessel must be covered with a cloth to avoid that the fish bump their heads or mouth, or even die due to shaking of the car or boat during transport. Number 2. The live fish transport vessel must be used for one purpose only, and before live fish are stored in that vessel, it must first be scrubbed clean. The amount of fish in each vessel should not be too much. to prevent the fish from dying of suffocation. Usually a vessel holding 1 ton of water can hold 60 kilograms of live fish in the summer, 120 grams in spring and fall, and 150 to 180 kilograms in winter. Number 3. Packaging methods. When live fish is exported, it must be packed by an export packaging company, which works along with the following steps. First, they fill a plastic bag 1/3 with clear seawater and then put the fish in. After oxygen has been pumped into the bag, it is placed in a carton box, the interior of which is completely covered with polystyrene plates and has anhydrous ice and dry ice on the 4 corners. Then the box is sealed and sent to the airport or commences its long-distance transport. After the fry has been transported, they often develop white spots, risen scales, and pus formation, so the following should be taken into consideration. Number 1. No poison should be used during harvesting because the survival rate of fish caught with poison is very low. Number 2. After harvesting and before transportation, the fish must have bath treatment. Number 3. The fish should not be crowded to reduce panicking and cannibalism. Number 4. The quality of the water in the live fish transport vessel must be excellent. Number 5. 24 hours before packaging, the fish must be fed enough feed and then be fed no more to reduce cannibalism. Number 6. The ends of the plastic bags must be tied with a rope. Number 7. When oxygen is pumped into the bag, all other gases must be first removed, and the transportation time must be assessed so that the fish will have enough oxygen. Number 8. The temperature in the box and of the water must be kept stable at 18 to 24 degrees Celsius, and ice bags must be checked for any leaks. Number 9. After transportation, the fish should have bath treatment again before they are put in a pond or cage for breeding. Injured fish must first be treated separately. Number 10. After the fish have been put in a pond or breeding cage, they can be fed fresh shellfish, shrimp, or cuttlefish. Normally, they are not fed 3 to 4 days after being placed in the pond or cage, so special attention must be carried to the quality and quantity of the food. Because the number of male giant groupers is very low, the fertilization rate does not exceed 80%, and therefore enhancing the ratio of male fish is the key to successful development of this fish species. Academic and research institutes in Taiwan have made use of implantation to promote sex reversal in fish. By implanting androgen-containing hormone pellets into the fish body, they are able to induce artificial sex reversal in the fish, making the broodstock transform from female into male at an earlier stage to increase their fertilization rate. At present, this technique is already being used on the giant grouper and has achieved a successful transformation rate of 70 to 80%. Presently, the preliminary phase of the study of artificial promotion of sexual maturation and natural spawning of the giant grouper has been completed. Seedlings can be reared successfully, but the maturation rate of 5 to 6 centimeter seedlings is significantly lower than that of the Malabar or yellow groupers. It is possible that this species places higher demand on feed and water quality, and therefore further studies must be conducted to understand more about their breeding, so that their survival rate can be increased. To get access to the WTO and protect its water and land resources, the government of Taiwan is now actively developing pure seawater culture. The grouper is a high-value marine fish, and the economical value of the giant grouper is even higher than that of other groupers, so that it makes it one of the fish species with considerable potential for development. Although Taiwan's technology for artificial breeding of grouper is unrivaled, larval breeding techniques and the production of market structures must be further improved to really increase production and guarantee future development. The giant grouper is the fastest growing grouper in the world. In Taiwan, it is called the grouper king. The giant grouper has 2 characteristics. The first is that it doesn't get any diseases. Up to now, it does not get diseases such as white spot disease. The second characteristic is that it grows fast. The first year, it can reach 3 kilograms. The second year, 6 to 9 kilograms. The third year, 12 to 15 kilograms. That is very big. The market in Korea demands fish of 3 kilograms, Hong Kong 1.2 kilograms, and 3 to 6 kilograms or more. We understand that the fish of 6 kilograms or more are now all exported to China. The Chinese market is all very big.
到5斤，到10几斤呢。但是10几斤呢，这个阮所出去的这个赛事，目前以阮所了解是拢销大陆，大陆这个市场足大，所以目前两打石斑。
Presently, giant groupers lay few eggs, so we hope that everybody joins in the research to increase the number of eggs. So that the eggs become less expensive, larvae become less expensive, and fingerlings become less expensive, and there is enough to provide the world market.